Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to our Nordic style Guildhall tutorial. Today we're going to be working on a bunch of the roofing, and then if we can, we'll probably be moving on to some of the balconies and other decks, and I guess this little roof section over here if we do have time for that. So to begin with, I kind of wanted to mention that if you guys are wondering what type of guild this is, I really haven't decided yet. I kind of did want to leave that open for you to decide, just so this could be kind of whatever you guys wanted it to be. It could be a thieves guild, a fighters guild, a mages guild. I just really kind of wanted to leave it open as a big giant, just kind of, it could be anything, I guess, really. I probably won't even decide until I do make the interior for this thing, so that should be fun to have to decide what kind of guild it's going to be. But yeah, starting off with the build for today, what I wanted to do was actually change up this wall right here. I kind of wanted to move it so this door isn't right above. So to do that, we're going to do a really quick little fix for now. So we're going to center the door on the second floor right in the middle. So to do that, we're going to place two little blocks right here, and instead we will remove that one, grab these things, and I guess just fill this in. And then as you can see, that window's kind of ugly, so we're going to just replace that with the spruce wood planks like that. And then I believe that should be good. All we really need to do for this little spot is add one more pillar like that. And then for everything that we see in the middle right here, we can just go ahead and remove this for now. So we'll do that, and then all we have to do for the door is just move that over one to the right, and then we'll fill in where that just was, and then that should be good. And then of course we are going to want to add some detail to this door, so what we're going to do is add a quick little pillar here, and then we'll do the same thing right over on this block. However, you guys may notice that we have something like this right here, so we're going to try to do the same thing over on this spot. I think that could look pretty good in the end, so we're just going to do something like that, and then we'll do a pillar like this right here, and then we should be able to call that good. Although I do want to do sort of a little archway right above the door, so we can take some stairs and some spruce woods. And then once again, these are in the spruce. I said stairs and spruce woods. I mean stairs and the half slabs. And then once again, these are in the spruce wood material. So we'll do something like this, and I think that could be cool. Quite simple, but it does really look nice up there. And then if you want, you can add some different variations of decorations up top, such as maybe instead of doing a full pillar down, you could try mixing it up and just grabbing a cobblestone stair. So it still matches these little, I guess, support beams, but it is just a little bit different. So you could do something like that. Just try whatever you want and just do whatever you like best. So now that we have that little adjustment made, I think it's probably time to start on shaping the roof. So as you may have seen in previous videos, what I like to do is just sort of make the big giant triangle shapes to begin with, and then we'll fill in from there. So the first one I want to make, we will be starting on this second little support beam, and we're going to place it right on top of this block. So you will have these three to the left, and then we'll do the same thing over here, except this one, and we'll have the three to the right. Keep in mind that third one is that little overhang block, just in case you guys got a little mixed up with that. So the next step is going to be just kind of just raising each one of these sides up to the very top. So we'll go up two instead of just one, since this is in the Nordic style. If you did want to sort of convert this and make it medieval, you could go up one at a time. So we're going to do three of these, actually make that four, and then the middle one could just be a pillar going all the way up to the top like this, and that's once again going to be two up like this, and then you can delete these blocks, so it kind of has a little bit of a different effect. And then of course the other side will be the exact same. And now we're going to be making that exact same roof over on the back, but since it does look a little bit different, I'm going to show you where to place these blocks. So if you find yourself the middle of this 3 wide gap, that's where you can place the first starter block, and then we'll move over to the right and place in this one. And then as always, it's going to be the same as that roof, so you can just copy that over. However, for our next roofs, these might end up being a little bit bigger, I'm not sure, but for these we're actually going to start them right over onto here. I think would be a good spot. And then so that's going to be right above this little pillar, and then we'll move ourselves over to the right and place our secondary one here, and then from there we can just sort of work our way up to the top and see if these actually do end up being the same. So we'll go up 2 of these, and I think they will be, because at first we went up 4, and then just like last time, that middle block will be the pillar in the center, I guess, and then we can delete these 2 blocks. And then just like the previous one, this side is going to be the exact same. And then if you're wondering where to put the final one for this big roof, that is actually going to be over on this side. So we'll start it off right here. So we'll go up 2, find ourselves on the left side, and so we'll find the overhang right here, go 1 block to the right, and then we'll go up 2 right there, and then these roofs will be the same. So now that we have those larger roofs completed, we're going to move on to this section over here, and we'll start out on the front. And then obviously these will be a bit smaller, since we're only dealing with about 7 blocks of space, whereas over there we were dealing with about 9 blocks of space. So these will probably be about 1-2 block section shorter than those big ones over there. So the first block we're going to place over here on the left side, right next to this overhang, and then as always this next one will be over here, just kind of adjacent from that. And then we're just going to work our way up. This one's going to have 3 of these 2 block increments, and then in the middle we can do this pillar right here, and we'll go up 2 higher than this one right there. Delete those middle blocks, and then this side will be the same. And now if you are wondering where we're going to place the next one, that's actually going to be all the way back here, sort of opposite and facing the same way as that one. So we're going to go up 1, 2 for the starter block on the left, and then 1, 2 for the starter block on the right. And then as always, these little things will be on either side of those. And then just to make things look a bit better, what we can do is make some of our little sticky outy bits face the same way. You guys may have already done this, but I'm just going to do that really quick. So we'll do those. And then for the third roof over on this section, because we want as many as we can have, just to give it as much detail as possible, I think I want to place it right here, sort of in the middle of each one of these. So if you find the middle of this little 3 wide gap, we're going to place the first block here, and that's going to be too tall. Then we'll move over to this section and go with that one, and that will be too tall as well. And then this is going to be a much shorter roof, so it's going to only have 2 of these going up, and then we'll have the pillar in the middle like this, but it still should look good in the end. And now for our last little roof triangle thingy, what we're going to do is fly over here to the back of the build in this corner, and we're going to provide ourselves with a 1 block wide gap of space right there. Then we'll skip 5 to the left and raise this one up 2 as well, and then from there we're going to do the same exact roof shape as these, so we'll go up 2 more of these just like this, and then we can do a pillar in the middle going all the way down until we reach this block. Then we'll delete these 2 and go back down on the other side, just like we did for the previous one, except we'll be moving in the opposite direction. So you'll end up with that. And now, to make things easier, such as placing in all the stairs and everything on the roof, what we're going to do is pretty much just connect all of these with some cross beams. Of course, in the end, you can delete these because it will make your interior look a lot better if you do, but just for now, it's going to save us a lot of time while placing in the stairs, since those do tend to face in odd directions that you don't usually want them to. So what I mean by connecting all these is just go ahead and keep whatever block you want in your hands. If you want to, you can use something else, although maybe I would recommend using these just so you don't get mixed up between the actual roof and maybe some other spruce wood. So just keep these in hand and then just sort of connect them like this. So say you do that for the bottom, so we'll connect all these, and then as you move up, you're going to have to add more and more blocks, and it's going to start creating large, like upside down L shapes and whatnot. So I'll just show you one side, and then you guys should be able to get the hang of it from there. It's pretty easy. There's only a couple tricky spots, but I'm sure you guys should be able to handle it. And then especially for this roof, this is probably the easiest one. They're all going to end up meeting in the middle up top here. So if you want to, just to give yourself a nice guideline, you could just create a large X shape up here on the top, since that's pretty much what you're going to end up with. Let's say after we're done with this, if you move down here, if you're wondering what's going to go on here, you can connect all of these together and they shouldn't be too tricky. However, this one might be a little bit odd. So all you're going to want to do, even though they don't really line up too nicely, all you really need to do is just drag these over until you get to this block right here, and then that should be good. So now that that is done, what I'm going to do is do a quick fly around just so you guys can see how all of these connected together and make sure that you did them correctly yourselves as well. And then now we can start to move on to sort of outlining the roof and also adding some fillers for all these open sections. So for the open sections in all of these big giant triangle shapes, what we're going to do is grab some spruce wood planks and just fill these in from the bottom to the top. So when you do this, the only, I guess, tip that I have is don't place them inside the farthest block to the right, just because that really makes the build look really flat and ugly. But instead, go 1 block back so you have sort of a 3D effect. So from the outside it'll look like this, whereas if you did it the first way, it's going to look quite ugly in my opinion and just be really flat and nasty. Of course, if that's what you're going for, by all means you can do that, but I would recommend keeping it 1 block back just so you have a bit of depth to your build. But anyways, this is just what it's going to be. So pretty much just fill all of those in like this. And then after you have all of those in, what we can do is add some windows if you want to. However, you don't have to. So for these little roofs over here, the only thing that you might want to do is maybe carve out these 2 blocks and then you can fill in a window right there. But for this big giant massive one right in the middle of sort of the big area where everyone's sort of going to be looking at, what I want to do is some sort of big circular window. So maybe we'll say this can be the middle of it, and then we'll just sort of carve our way outside. So something like this, and then we can maybe do a cross shape like this. I'm going to see how that looks. Let's see. Is that too small, too big? I quite like it. However, I think it needs some adjustment and minor details. So maybe we'll do up to with these. And then I kind of want to give it some sort of almost like a little more shape, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. Let's see. I think what we can do is grab our spruce wood slabs, and then maybe we'll place one here, here, and there. Does that help at all? I think it almost does. Almost, but not quite. Let's see. Does that do anything? That's kind of cool. I like that. So I'm going to leave it as that. And then if you'd like to, you can do it on all the other sides, although I kind of want to mix it up. I kind of wanted to make that sort of be the big centerpiece. However, for these side ones, I think I'll keep it a little more simple and maybe just do something like this. And then for the back, you can either do the big circular window, a chimney, or windows. Totally up to you. I guess it really depends on what kind of guild you're going for. If it's a thieves guild, maybe you don't want too many windows. Or maybe you want some like trap doors that they can escape from on the roof or something. Just kind of trying to give you guys some ideas right now. But I think I'll go with just the simple windows for now on these little things. And then, as I mentioned before, all of these you can just do the simple windows. But for now, we're going to skip that and move on to the next step, which will be outlining our roof. Now for this, all of them are going to be the same, just sort of in different proportions and heights. So I'm going to show you probably the biggest one, since that it might be, I guess, the hardest or trickiest roof to do. And then if you guys are wondering if you want to do it here or not, I would say definitely do it there, because that's like a big break in the roof. And if you do it there, it's really going to make it look nice and detailed. So for this, what we're going to do is start out with our stone brick full blocks, and on the bottom of this block right here, we're going to place that there, and then we'll do one more block to the right and delete the first one. This is going to create a nice overhang and give our build a lot of depth. So from there, we're going to switch it up, grab our stone brick stairs. In fact, if you want to do this quickly, I would say save the stairs for the end, and just at first go through placing in all your full blocks on the bottom of each section. And then after that, you can go through switching it up to your stairs and place these on the top of each and every full block. And then, as we usually do, you can start placing in your upside down stairs below those. Now for the Nordic style design, there is a large variety of the things you can do for this. However, I'm going to do a simple one just to sort of match it up with these other spiky ones. But as you see there, there's two different variations right there. So on the house to the right, you see that there's like a little gap in the spike. But then on the left the one on the left, it's just kind of a little flicky bit. So really totally up to you. I'm probably going to just do a simple one for now, but then on my free time, I guess I'll maybe do some big giant thing. Just since this is a guild, I kind of want to do something fancy. And if it turns out well, I'll probably show you guys later. Maybe even show you guys how to do it. Maybe a quick little tutorial or something for the interior video. Not quite sure, but the other side of this big window thing is going to be the exact same, so I'm sure you guys shouldn't have any problems with that. And now after all of those are complete, this is what your build's going to look like. However, before we move on, you also are going to want to do, as you may have seen right here that I've already done, these little stone brick outlines all the way across the bottom layer of the roofing. So let me just fly around and show you guys how these should look. It's really quite simple, one of the easier steps for the roof. And now for our next step, what we're going to do is probably the easiest thing out of this whole build. And that's just filling in all the spruce wood. So on the bottom layer of each section, you're just going to use your full blocks, and then above each full block, that's where we're going to take your spruce wood stair and fill that in. So it's just going to look something like this, going all the way up to the top. And speaking of the top, for that layer, I would recommend probably leaving this blank for now. And now all the spruce wood is in, so it should look pretty similar to this when you're done as well. And now, as you may notice, the roofs, or at least the tops of the roofs, are looking extremely flat. So there's a quick fix for this, and that's just going to be to switch out all of these stairs on the flicky bits, and you can replace these with the full blocks. So if you do that all the way around, and then from there you can kind of start to shape out your roof. So maybe on this little spot right here, you could place a stair right there, stair right here, and then a little half slab in the middle. And as you can see, that rounded that one out quite a bit. And then for some of these bigger ones, this is where it can get a bit tricky. However, we're going to hold off on this one for now, because we're going to be placing a chimney right here. So if you find this middle block right here where all the roofs sort of intersect, we're going to place one there. And then we're going to do 4 more blocks on the outside, and then 4 more blocks in the corner. And then we can start to drag these down. This is probably where our biggest chimney is going to be, although since there isn't too much space in this area on the inside, this is pretty much just going to be a chimney for mainly aesthetics. However, if you want to, it can probably fit in on the second floor, although I wouldn't recommend bringing it all the way down to the first floor just because it is landing right after a very narrow hallway, so I would hold off on building it there. But we're going to raise this up 2 more blocks, so we'll go 1, 2, like this all the way around, and then we're going to start to give it some detail with some stairs and everything and just make it look pretty nice. So for the stairs, we're just going to do 2 on the outsides like this, all the way around, and then we can start to almost give it sort of like a castle look. So we'll do these full blocks right here on the outside. However, this is going to be a chimney, so don't be mistaken by that. So we'll grab our half slabs now. In fact, I was going to say let's use the stone, but I think maybe keeping it all the same material might keep it looking like a chimney the whole time. Now this still almost looks too much like a castle, so what I'm going to do to fix that is just start placing in these stairs, sort of going all the way down on either side, just so it doesn't look too fat at the top, because that's usually what gives it that castle look. So I'm just going to go down. I mean, if you want to, you could make this like an archery tower or something. However, I kind of wanted to keep it a chimney. I just think it would really look cool to have a bunch of smoke coming out of the top of this. So we'll just have it look like that. If you want to, you can also add some further detail in the middle, maybe putting one of these on every other block as you go down. Or you could place them in the middle. That might look better. In fact, it does, doesn't it? Oh yeah. So there we go, we'll have that, and then we can also, as I said before, with the details on these things in the middle, you can do those. And then let me just back up here really quick and see how this turned out. I think it's a nice looking chimney. In fact, it really does look like a chimney now. I think if we do add the smoke, it'll really kind of make it the finished product. So anyways, we're going to move back to sort of rounding out our roof. So I'm going to show you how to do it on a couple of other spots. For this one up here, I think we could probably just do maybe 1, 2, 3 like this, then a stair, stair right there, then the half slabs the rest of the way until we meet the chimney, which would be right there. And I don't think we're going to be able to place a block in there, which actually should be fine. I think that looks okay how it is. So how many do we have? We have 3, so we'll go also 1, 2, 3 right there, and then maybe I guess, no, we'll make it 5. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a stair. And then we'll see how some full blocks look on this section. That might be too far out. I think it looks good. If you want to, you could move this back 1 more. However, I'm not so sure how good that's gonna look. Let's try it, just because we want the best possible final product. I kind of like the 3, so I think I'll stick with what I started with. Not sure why I even changed it, but there we go. And then for the biggest roof, this is probably the most tricky to make look good. And before we even do that, let's fix this one up really quickly here. So we'll do this, then a stair right there. Actually, let's do a full block first. So full block, then stair, then a half slab, and yeah, that looks really good in my opinion. And then for these big ones, what we're gonna do is switch these up, just like we did for all the smaller ones. So we'll place a full block where all of these bottom stairs are, just so we can get some more, I guess, chunkiness to our roof. And then we'll add one of these. Actually, on these sides, we'll go 1, 2, 3. And then for here, 1, 2, 3. And then for these, we'll only do 1. And then a stair like that on each one. And then after the stairs, we can do half slabs. And since this is the top roof, I kind of did want to do something big for the middle. So if we just go in 2 like this, we can add in some sort of like stone brick design. I think that could look quite nice right here in this little intersection. So we can go 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Then on top of each one of these, we'll do some stairs. And then, let's see, how else could we make this detailed? Let's go up 1 block, then maybe do this thing right here, like this, and then maybe go 1, 2, up 1, and then, let's see, how does a stair fit in here? Not how I wanted it. Let's actually go up, or we could do this here. That looks cool. That's what I'm going to do. So once again, all it is 1 more half slab right there, and then a stair, and boom, there we got it. So it looks kind of weird, but I think it's like a cool little design. It's almost like deer antlers. So if you want, maybe you could make the flicky bits a deer instead, if you want to do that for your final design. And that's going to be it for today. So let me know what you thought down in the comments. And I don't know about you guys, but I really do enjoy building these little, I guess we could call them mini-series. The only thing I don't like is the first thumbnail. Those always turn out so crappy just because the build is barely finished. But I guess that's my only complaint about these things. Other than that, I love them. I'm eager to try some more of these, so if you have any ideas for future ones, definitely let me know those. Of course, this build isn't done. We're going to be adding some more details in part 3, such as some decks and balconies and a whole bunch of other stuff, including a little covered area which could maybe be a blacksmithing station if it ends up being a fighters guild, or maybe something else. Maybe it's just a little hangout get together area. Totally, I guess, up to you guys. So if you have any cool ideas for that, definitely let me know. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.